Why does it hurt when nothing's obviously wrong? Why do you feel like you're dragging your own body through life, carrying something heavy you can't even name? You've tried everything. Breathing exercises, advice from well-meaning people who don't see what's really happening. You've ignored it, distracted it, buried it, but the weight remains. Not loud, not screaming, just there, always. What if I told you the pain you're carrying isn't from the world? It's not from your job, your past, or your relationships. Not entirely. It's from you, from what you refuse to confront, from the self you've abandoned. Carl Jung said, "What you do not bring to consciousness returns as fate." Let that sink in. The suffering that shows up again and again in your life, it's not just random chaos. It's a message, and it doesn't stop because you keep ignoring it. You run into distractions, into shallow validation, into surface-level fixes. But pain doesn't go away just because you're tired of it. It waits, it follows, it speaks through insomnia, through anxiety, through that strange emotional numbness that creeps in when nothing else makes sense. And here's the truth you won't hear in self-help videos. Your pain doesn't want to be silenced. It wants to be understood. What I'm about to show you won't make you feel better, not at first, because real healing isn't comfortable. It's disruptive. But if you sit with me through this, you'll start to understand why you suffer so deeply and why you don't have to stay stuck there. Let's start with what's really causing the damage. You think you suffer because of your boss, because of your relationship, because of the pressure. And yeah, all of that matters, but that's not it. Not really. What's killing you is the disconnection from yourself. You've been playing a role for so long, you've forgotten who you were before you were taught to be someone else. Since childhood, you've been conditioned to fit, to adapt, to silence what was inconvenient. You became agreeable, harmless, controlled. You smiled when you wanted to scream. You swallowed your pain to make others comfortable. You performed. And over time, you became a character, polished, predictable, acceptable. But your soul, it never agreed to this. It screams in your quiet moments, through guilt, shame, exhaustion, through that sinking feeling that no matter what you accomplish, something still feels missing. Because it is. You abandoned yourself to be liked. You betrayed your truth to be safe. And now the pain you carry isn't from failure. It's from the false expectations of who you were told to be. You're not wounded by loneliness. You're wounded by the version of yourself you created to avoid being alone. It's not other people hurting you. It's you. Every time you reject your own boundaries, your own needs, just to keep the peace. Jung saw this pattern clearly. The pain you keep avoiding isn't a punishment. It's a signal, a flare from your inner world begging you to stop running and start listening. But most people never do, because listening means facing what's been buried, and what's buried is terrifying. The most dangerous part of you isn't the pain. It's what you've refused to admit causes it. Jung called this the shadow. You have one. Everyone does. It's the part of you you've denied, repressed, disowned. It's the rage you silence, the shame you mask, the desire you judge, the fear you pretend doesn't exist. It's your ambition disguised as humility, your resentment coated in politeness, your loneliness dressed up in performance, and the more you reject it, the more control it has. Ever exploded over something small? Sabotaged something good for no clear reason? Found yourself repeating toxic patterns and calling it fate? That's your shadow, operating in silence, moving the strings while you convince yourself you're just unlucky. Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." The chaos in your life is not random. It's strategic. It's the unconscious trying to wake you up, and it will keep knocking until you finally open the door. But here's the thing. Facing your shadow isn't an aesthetic. It's not some edgy branding concept for your self-discovery era. It's brutal. You'll have to admit what you've worked so hard to hide. You'll have to take responsibility for the parts of your pain you created. You'll have to stop playing the victim, and that's the hardest part. Because you're not just a wounded child. You're also the adult who now chooses what to do with those wounds. And your shadow, as ugly as it seems, is not your enemy. It's just a version of you no one ever taught you how to love. That rage, that insecurity, that jealousy. It doesn't want to destroy you. It wants to be seen, heard, integrated. Jung didn't believe in exiling the shadow. He believed in transforming it, turning it from something that controls you into something you control. Because what you reject weakens you, but what you integrate, that's what sets you free. Now that you see it, what are you supposed to do with it? That's what comes next, because knowing the shadow isn't enough. You have to confront it. You have to act. You have to reclaim the parts of yourself you left behind. And you have to walk straight into the part of yourself you've spent years avoiding. And once you do, nothing will ever control you the same way again. Most people avoid this confrontation. They'd rather stay half alive than deal with the truth of what they've buried. It's easier to blame life, blame others, blame fate than to realize you've been complicit in your own suffering. But you're not most people. You wouldn't still be here if you weren't ready to go deeper. The moment you begin to face the shadow, something strange happens. The pain doesn't vanish, but it changes. It becomes sharper, clearer, less chaotic, because now you're not running from it. You're staring it in the eye. And for the first time, it starts to speak. You realize the voice inside you wasn't trying to break you. It was trying to guide you out of the mask, out of the performance, and back to something real. But this isn't about sitting in your pain forever. This is about moving through it with your eyes open. You don't heal by endlessly reliving your trauma. You heal by refusing to let it define who you are now. The shadow isn't your home, it's the path. And once you walk it, you start to see what lives on the other side. It starts with boundaries, not the kind you post about, the kind you enforce silently, even when it costs you approval. Because when you face your shadow, you stop needing people to like you. You stop needing to be seen as good or selfless or perfect. You start needing to be whole, and wholeness demands honesty. You stop showing up where you're not respected. You stop pretending you're okay with being treated like you're not enough. You stop betraying yourself to keep the peace in rooms that thrive on your silence. This isn't some power trip. It's the beginning of self-respect. Because for the first time, you're not just surviving your pain, you're listening to it. You're asking what it wants to teach you. And that's when everything begins to shift. You realize your triggers aren't flaws, they're signals. Your sadness isn't weakness, it's unexpressed truth. Your anger isn't shameful, it's a boundary that was crossed too many times. The more you listen, the more the noise fades. The more you honor what's real, the less interest you have in pretending. And people will notice. They'll say you've changed, not always kindly. They'll say you're colder, more distant, harder to reach. But what they're really feeling is the absence of the version of you they could control. You're not reacting the way you used to. You're not explaining yourself to be understood. You're not trying to fix what was never yours to fix. Because you're not chasing validation anymore. You're choosing alignment. That kind of shift is uncomfortable to witness, especially for the people who benefited from your self-abandonment. But don't soften to ease their discomfort. Don't dilute your clarity to keep their approval. You didn't walk through your own darkness just to be liked. You walked through it to be free, and freedom comes at a cost. You'll lose people. You'll lose illusions. You'll lose the comfort of being numb, but you'll gain something worth infinitely more. You'll gain yourself, not the version of you that fits in, the version that tells the truth, the version that sees clearly, the version that no longer asks permission to exist. Jung didn't offer a path of comfort. He offered a path of integration, a path where you stop trying to become someone better and start becoming someone real. And realness is rare. It doesn't always look impressive. Sometimes it looks like saying no, like walking away, like resting when you're told to grind, like crying when you're supposed to smile. But it feels like peace, not the kind that's handed to you when everything's perfect, the kind you earn when you finally stop hiding. The shadow will never disappear. It's part of you. But once you've faced it, it loses its power to run the show. You'll still feel pain, but you won't panic. You'll still get triggered, but you'll recognize the pattern. You'll still fall, but you'll rise faster, because now you know who's getting back up. Not a mask, not a role. You, whole, aware, unapologetic. That's the version of you they couldn't manipulate. That's the version they feared. That's the version you abandoned a long time ago. It's time to bring them back, because that version, the one with scars and clarity and fire in their eyes, that version doesn't need to be fixed. They just need to be remembered. And once you do, you stop chasing healing. You start becoming it.